Hi there, guys. It's Eric here from the Building My Freedom Business podcast. We have arrived at episode 12. And in episode 12, I'm interviewing a gentleman by the name Colin Clapp. And Colin Clapp runs two businesses. One is called Parenting, Passports and Profits, and the other one is Online Marketing Done For You. And Colin runs a true freedom business. He travels with his wife and children to different places in the world and lives there whilst he is running his business. I hope you enjoy this interview. And before you start listening, if you want to connect with me or other listeners, please go to facebook.com/building my freedom business. Enjoy the interview. All right. I want to welcome my guest, Colin Clapp. In our pre-chat, I heard the amazing story of Colin is traveling, always traveling and running his business at the same time. So I'm really excited to hear, because in my ears, that sounds like a freedom business. And initially I thought Colin possibly has no kids, but then I hear that he has got kids, and I became more interested. So Colin, I'm really grateful that you took the time to connect with me and willing to share your story. And so please, as you introduce yourself to the audience, to the listeners, can you please share something about your background, your journey? Have you always been an entrepreneur? Have you worked for other people? And how did you end up traveling and working? And I know that you told me that you could talk about that for a long time, but try to give me the 2, 3, 4-minute story of that journey.
Okay. Thanks for having me, Eric. Well, great to be here. Hello, listeners. Yes, I'm Colin Clapp of Online Marketing Done For You and Parenting, Passports and Profits.com. And I add in that second moniker because, yes, as Eric says, when I say we, I'm talking about my partner and my 2 young children. So at the time of recording this, my children are 2 and 7. And I'm definitely mature in years. I turned 50 a few years back, so this is no spring chicken you're talking about. And my views of freedom and freedom business have drastically changed over the years due to successes and failures. And I'm not too ashamed to talk about, I've had more failures than successes, but those are the ones that make you grow. So in answer to your question, Eric, I haven't always been an entrepreneur, and I call myself a New Zealander, but I was actually born in the UK and didn't emigrate to New Zealand until I was in my 30s. During that time in the UK, I did work. I bummed around for many years, traveled a bit. I did eventually end up with what could be classified as a career. I got a management position after a few years, and I owned property in the UK, and things were sort of shaping up to be career-wise. But without going into too much detail, the events of 2001, the Twin Towers coming down, changed my life, because at that point I was I had a job transfer to Denver, Colorado, and I was literally waiting for the legal paperwork to come through when the terrorist attacks happened, and my visa got granted a couple of weeks later. But it was in the hospitality industry, and as hopefully your older listeners might recall, or if not, hospitality industry after 2001, September 11, just overnight gone.
Yeah.
So not only did I lose my job offer in the United States, I lost my job in the UK. So there I was with no qualifications, no job, no future, and I wasn't skint or anything. I still had my houses, but my dream to live abroad, because I've been trying to get out of England for a long while, my dream to live abroad needed a new direction. So in my late 30s or mid 30s, I went and got an MBA. Wow. And then, unlike most people getting an MBA, I wasn't doing it for career advancement. I was doing it because I needed to get a qualification that I was going to fill in on an immigration form one day. I just knew that one day I was going to fill in an immigration form and I had to do something about it. Wow. So I did that. I got my degree, and roll the clock forward. I'm just trying to be whistle stop. I eventually ended up a New Zealand citizen. And because I got my permanent residency quite quickly, I didn't have to get a job in New Zealand, and I had enough savings from my property in the UK that I could try to do some entrepreneurial things. And so as I became a New Zealand resident and then a citizen, I tried property investment, and then I eventually went into business coaching. And latterly, my partner and I, after we had our first child, invested in an online organic grocery business, and that changed our life because it was a complete and utter flop.
Okay.
And we lost virtually everything. We lost our confidence, we lost our money, we lost our quality of life. And that is how I ended up becoming a digital nomad family, and reassessing how I look at life and everything. And so, Eric, that was whistle stop, and I'm going to let you dive in.
I just want to take one step back. That big flop at the end. If you look back at that, what do you think was your biggest takeaway of what you might do different?
In hindsight, New Zealand's a small country relative to the rest of the world. And we underestimated a couple of things. So we thought we were in the organic box business, and we didn't realize we were really in the supermarket business. And we were competing against apathy of consumers to change habits, and change habits against the big supermarkets. So, and the marketplace wasn't big enough to change the minds and habits of enough people. And this actually leads to sort of, any advice I might have to someone starting out. You've got to do more validation up front. You got to get more sales up front to prove you have a concept that will scale and fly. And what happened with our organic fruit and veg business. Now, I won't talk about this in detail. If anyone reaches out to me, I've spoken about this on numerous podcasts. And if you go to our media page on our Parenting Passports and Profits site and look into the media page, you'll see many podcasts you can listen to that goes into detail about this flop. But the point was, we underestimated some of those things and we paid a heavy price.
Yeah, wow. But I've learned one thing. These flops often lead you in a direction where you actually need to end up. So for some reason, they are necessary. Sometimes you wish they were not as big as they are, but they do push you in the direction where you finally will end up, where you need to be. I mean, I drove my wife crazy. Once she wrote a list of the 22 business ideas that I'd tried and tested and all of that, until finally I came to something that I was passionate about, and then everything else made sense. But
if I could just interject on that, Eric. I mean, and you're so correct, and I'm conscious of the time, so I'm sort of cutting these sentences these short. But for listeners in our case, if we hadn't had that flop, we would now not be this location independent family, which we've now been for 4.5 years. Wow. And if you're doing the maths quickly, you'll realize one of our children was born during that time. So all of these things have happened for a reason, and our life by any means is not perfect. We work, we're not on holiday. We are not, we're not travelers and tourists. We simply have created a lifestyle where we can work online and be location independent. We charge in euros, dollars, pounds, and we can charge in all those currencies because we've built systems to let ourselves have customers anywhere in the world. And we can move. We live out of 2 suitcases and 2 checked-in bags and a number of day packs. That takes care of 2 adults and 2 children, and everything we need to function. And it's kind of proved to ourselves how little we need. And we move every 3 months at the moment because we're not looking for a new home. We're not trying to be permanent residents anywhere. So most of the places we end up, we're only allowed to stay for 90 we're only allowed to stay for 90 days because
Yeah.
that's what our passports allow.
Yeah.
But that's the lifestyle that we currently choose. Now, we're not saying we love every aspect of that, but right now we have zero desire to change it because the pros far outweigh the cons.
Yeah. Let me ask you one question. Your oldest is 7, and I think your youngest is 4?
2.
2. Okay, so the 2-year-old, no learning. The 7-year-old, what happens with the learning there?
So we are what's called as unschoolers. So our children don't go to school. We believe the world is a great teacher, and all we have to do is facilitate learning. So we don't try and be teachers. We just watch our children and we encourage the love of learning. And so, Eric, I think I know what you meant when you said, but our 2-year-old is at school.
Yeah,
because she was at school the moment she popped out.
Yeah,
because of our mindset of the way we educate. Every minute is a learning opportunity for them and us. So we now see ourselves as unschoolers. As I mean, Ellie and I, my partner, we met. We're both like into personal development. We're into lifelong learning. So the way we see ourselves and the way we see our children and the way we impart our knowledge to our children is that they are the children are teaching us and we're teaching them, but also so is everyone else. Everyone we mix with is teaching us, and everyone we mix with is teaching you, and to degrees that we may not know, we are teaching them. So there's like no boundaries. And
I can relate to that, Colin. My oldest, we took him out of the education system at the age of 8, and we followed his passion with learning, and that just exploded him. So I totally get that. But I want to take a little shift here. So because you're living this, well, amazing for me to hear the opportunity to travel, to be with your partner, to be with your children, see different parts of the world. I mean, that is something that I would aspire to get to at some place, at some time in life. But you became a digital nomad. So tell me about your business, online marketing done for you. We have people listening here who have blogs, who have content, and can you describe in 1 minute, what is it actually? I see you smile when I say 1 minute, but what is it that your business does? I mean, one of the taglines on your website is update your old content without the donkey work. And another tagline which I loved is something about helping the bloggers and people to become friends with Google. And so tell me what your business does, and tell me how I can become friends with Google, Colin.
Great question, Eric. And really that last part, make friends with Google is really what it's all about. And I'll just put, that is what we do, and I will explain that. I will also point out though that online marketing done for you was created about 3 years ago, where I used my sort of bigger picture vision of taking my online skills and seeing that would be a mobile, location independent area that I could get better at. I had some technical skills. I didn't have online skills, but I had some technical skills, and those were the sort of things we sifted from the wreckage of our previous life and sort of brought them into our new life. And at the beginning, in my naivety, I went for online marketing done for you as looking at offering done for you services such as pay-per-click, SEO, building landing pages, working on chatbots and things like that, and partnered up with associates that I was meeting along the journey, whereby we would take these headaches away from everyone. But as time went on, I realized, the concept of less is more, niching down, getting really focused. And over the years, as we've sort of pursued this lifestyle, we've just let go of more and more and more. And that included what I was willing and able to do, like, you know, what's getting results, where can we get results? And so that's when I dropped all the partnerships. I dropped things like pay-per-click and chatbots, and where we were getting results was search engine optimization, which is what I call making friends with Google. And I won't bore your readers, your listeners, with the sort of big overview of that, but so many websites are built without understanding what I call if I can put this in plain language, you know, being online, having a website is because we're all at the greatest party that has ever existed. You know, in the 21st century, billions of us are at this online party, and there is so many people at this party, but because anyone can go to this party, there's no cost to get in, or it's a low barrier to entry. But there are very few of those billions of people at this online party who are having a good time. And, you know, by that, I mean, getting a return on their time, getting a return on their investment. Everything is working, it's optimized. And the reason for that is, if you think about it from a party, you know, you think about all the parties you've been to in your life, you know, what constitutes a good party, what doesn't constitute a good party. But a lot of them, they are invisible. They're creating these websites and they're not seen. No matter how much creativity or professionalism they put into the website, they're not being seen. And I liken this to, the problem is you're ignoring the fact that to enjoy this online party, although it may be inexpensive to get to, there is a dress code and there are some house rules. And it's the search engines who make those house rules. And Google's the biggest search engine. And it doesn't matter whether you like this rule or not, but if you could understand that there are house rules and there are dress codes, and familiarize yourself with them, or get someone like us to familiarize yourself with them, and then make your website act accordingly, you will increase your chances. Now, I can't sit here and guarantee it, because it doesn't work like that. You know, you can't guarantee you're going to get business on Facebook. You can't guarantee you're going to get business on Instagram or YouTube. But it's all about increasing your chances. It's about increasing, and just imagine that. Imagine going to a really upmarket party and you really want to meet the host of that party. You've got to do the right things to get to that host. You've got to do your homework. You've got to understand what that host is interested in, why they would want to speak to you, of all the other millions of people at their party, why they're going to make time for you. And the same applies to your website. Why are the search engines going to reward you with page 1 rankings if you don't pay attention to their dress code and their guidelines?
So here I am, Colin. I'm building my freedom business, and I want to become friends with Google. So I reach out to you. Can you tell me a bit about the process that I might experience as one of your customers?
Yeah, absolutely.
How does it work?
So we primarily do two things, and one is what we call technical foundations, and that is a bit like making sure your house is built on solid foundations. You know, you can't just, you know, in some parts of the world you don't need architects. We've watched that in Thailand and Indonesia. You know, you can get away with it, but for the most part in the Western world, you need foundations, and they're usually invisible. You know, so you look at a well-made house, you can't see all the foundations, but you know if there's an earthquake. And I've lived in a city where an earthquake struck and destroyed us. And so I know all about buildings coming down, and living in a car park for several years while the city is rebuilt. That was Christchurch, New Zealand, 2011-12. So, and that's a Western country where the building regulations turned out to not be strong enough for the earthquakes that come and hit us back then. So
before you move on to the second one, from the business point of view, what sort of, can you give one example about a foundation?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So things like site speed, security, broken links, secure versus insecure, redirections, meta descriptions, all those things that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
invisible, all those things that are invisible, that unless you know how to optimize those and check that they're working, or have got tools and processes in place to check, it's a bit like property maintenance. You know, too many people have this view that a website is a set and forget project, and it's going to look great, and then they're going to tell everyone about it, and then the world is going to come to their website. And it's the wrong way to think about it. And I know that from experience. You're not talking to someone who's spent his whole life on websites. You talk about someone who's been on the other end of this, has paid for websites and watched them be invisible flops because I didn't understand the rules of the game. And I told the people building websites for me, no, I don't need that. I don't need that. Look, just make it look like this, and I'll take care of everything. And, you know, and then you realize what a very narrow-minded approach that is, because unless you have the ability to drive traffic to your website directly, and what I mean by that is, you know, you're handing out business cards left, right, and center, or you're paying advertisers or someone to directly type in your URL. If you're not doing that, and most people can't afford that, then you need to be found. You need to be found organically, because otherwise you're never going to get the freedom that you desire. So, and this is what search engine optimization is trying to maximize your website to be found organically by the people you want to be found by. And once you can master that, then the traffic just is there's no upper limit. And
so Colin, just going to interrupt you there for a second, because the second step, you said there were two things that you offered. So you look at the foundation and the fundamental things there. And what's the second part of
first one is the foundations. Make sure there's nothing going to hold you back, that you couldn't that as you push forward, you don't want to sort of find that there's a crack in your foundations and the whole house is going to come tumbling down. But the second one is a little bit more obvious and plays to the creativity of the content providers, content creators out there. And that is making sure that your content itself is optimized. And we do that through solid keyword research. We have a three-legged stool approach whereby we research what you want to write about. In other words, if you're not aware of this, you know, Google is very, very smart these days. You know, it understands a lot about natural language. So how you talk and how you write, if you resonate with your audience in whatever type of language you use, the reader's going to pick up on that. You know, if you're writing in a very technical way and the reader's, you know, there's a disconnect, the reader will just go off to another website. But if you're authentic and can, you know, bring trust and authority into the game, how you write and what you want to write about is going to come across, and that's going to keep people on your site. And that's a ranking factor. If you can keep people on your site, moving around, going to different pages, Google likes that. That's helping them make friends, helping you make friends. Google sees that and will reward more of your pages. So the first thing to do is to make sure that the creator is writing about what they want to write about, but then we use data to maybe just tweak the language so that a phrase they thought they wanted to use might be better changed to this, so they get found more. The second leg of the tripod is looking at the data that Google is already ranking you for. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that when because Google's so intelligent, even on a small site, Google will, as it discovers you, and that's another foundational aspect, by the way, Eric. You know, some websites are set up, they're not even indexed, so the people don't even, the Google, the search engines never even find them because they're not indexed. So first thing you do is make sure that the search engines can find you. Anyway, so once they start indexing, they start making associations between the content and keywords that are being typed into the search engines. And because they're so intelligent, they will associate your website and your content with phrases that you didn't even know, because they're making links of relevancy. And it might be that they're making a very valuable relevancy link related to the goods and services you offer, but you're not actually using that language in your written content. And when you discover that, and you can start either writing content for those keywords or adapting existing content to match that relevancy, you're going to move up the rankings, because that is one of the easiest wins you can get.
All right. Colin is.
And then the third leg of that tripod is your competitors. In other words, what are your competitors ranking for that you are not? And what are the opportunities there that you could do a better job than they are in terms of creating content? So once you have that three-legged tripod, that's another strong foundation for creating content. And from there, everything else, and whether you want to create content weekly, monthly, or, you know, X times per month, you know, even daily, once you have that body of keyword research and you have a strategy around content creation based on keyword research, then you have all the foundations for ongoing content creation that is going to be found.
Yeah, great. I can see how passionate and knowledgeable you are about this topic. I just lost you for about 1 second, but that's perfectly fine. I don't think we missed anything. Colin, I'm just going to direct people to you, because I feel that people who do not take this journey of becoming friends with Google, they're missing out on a lot. So if they want to learn more, I'm going to advise them to go to Online Marketing Done For You with 4. This the number 4.
Number 4,
DoneForYou.com. I hear about your journey. There you are, traveling with kids, enjoying life with your wife, doing a job that you're passionate about. So what does Colin do outside of this to recharge your battery? I mean, do you get motivation, inspiration from, how does it work for you? Are you a meditator, a podcast listener, a book reader, a runner? I mean, tell me a bit about the Colin, what he does to recharge, you know, his body and his spiritually. I mean, tell me about it.
Because of the ups and downs of life and becoming a parent quite late, and the journey it took for me to be a parent, and that was a mental journey. My kids and the quality of life I have with my kids means a lot to me. And because my partner and I both love travel, and we've now created this lifestyle where, and I really have to stress, we're not tourists. So when we land in a new place, you know, we set up our, you know, we find co-working spots and we go to work. But there's some, you know, we invariably have no commuting. So we don't have any chores like mowing lawns and car maintenance and all those things that take minutes out of your day, hours out of your week, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, I'm staring out the window here. Your viewers can't see this, but we're living in a place right now called Lake Ohrid, and in Macedonia, and it's a town of about 40,000, but it's at 700 meters. The lake is crystal clear. You can swim in it. It just has that. It has a holiday feel. You know that the locals are coming here for the weekend. There's mountains in the background. It's very cold in the winter. You can hike. And I'm just trying to paint a picture that we get to call that home for a wee while. And that in itself is rejuvenating. Yeah. You know, just being in that environment and then going to the next place and being in a place like the last place we were at was a ski resort in Bulgaria. And our girls had never experienced cold weather. It was our first proper winter. But if you're going to experience a winter, why not be in a ski resort? And we chose not to ski because there was just a whole bunch of circumstances, including the age of our youngest. And we was like, shall we or shan't we? Is it the right time? Does it tick all the boxes? For this one, we decided no. And you need to know that I actually love snow sports, and I was one of the drivers why we should go there. And despite the fact I talked myself out of going skiing, because like I said, I won't go into all the details. The fact that I could wake up in our apartment, commute for 10 minutes with this backdrop of a snow-covered mountain, breathe the mountain air, mix with other people who are skiing and snowboarding and families, just the atmosphere and the connections we made, you know, and that is our normal life. So again, I tell that story because I'm kind of linking, you know, last destination to current destination. And each place we go, invariably, there is always something in that area that is rejuvenating, the sense of a new, the sense of adventure, the sense of trying. So I don't exercise as much as I used to. I don't listen to podcasts as much as I used to. I don't do some of the personal rejuvenation that I would maybe like to, but just spending time with my own children and my partner in these environments and constantly being challenged is a huge motivation and is hugely rejuvenating in sort of in a different way. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And I'm a bit jealous now, Colin. You know, I look out of my window and I see my neighbors. So, you know, there's a slight difference. Nice people though, but listen, we're coming to the end sort of. You and I got connected through the SPI Pro community, Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn and his team. Tell me, by being a member of that community, how has that benefited you?
That's a really, really good question, because I have been a member of 2 or 3 communities before I became a member of SPI Pro. And you and I were talking offline just beforehand that it's been a year of this particular community. And the experience for the shall we say, the founding members or the early adopters of this membership have been different. They haven't been the same for everyone. But from a personal perspective, it's been absolutely brilliant. I don't know if it's related to the fact this one wasn't purely course, or this one was focused on community. It wasn't focused on courses. I know that some that I've been involved in the past, they're built on the back of courses you take, and you sort of come into the community for support around the course development, and they might take the community a bit more serious, but it wasn't the forethought of the focus. And in both the sort of previous investments, of which I've sort of stuck around for 6 months and 12 months, they just didn't work. Either I didn't connect, or one went away, and the other one just something. I was contributing, but I just didn't feel like I was in the right place. And with SPI Pro, I don't know if it's because it didn't have a course and it was just community from the off. And I'm also willing to get involved and get stuck in and contribute and participate. For me, it has worked. And on the back of whether it was coincidental, COVID, and more people being online, we were used to being online. We were used to being remote. So I don't know that that was new to us, but I'm now in a mastermind that I really look forward to. So there's been some major spin-offs for me, Eric. And I would say to any listener, you can't build a freedom business on your own. You can't build any business on your own. You do need community and team around you. How you get that will be different for everyone. But do explore community as part of your pathway, because somehow, some way, you're going to need referrals. You're going to need support mechanisms, and social media can be a noisy and soul-destroying way to try and get community. Whereas inside paid communities that are not as noisy, you can be unbelievably rewarded.
Good, man. Thank you, Colin. Colin, I just want to say thank you for your contribution, for your energy, for your passion about becoming friends with Google, but particularly about your story. It is just so incredibly nice to hear your journey, and that you've ended up with this traveling situation. Teaching your children the lessons of life. I mean, yeah, that speaks to me. So thank you for that. Remind the listeners again, if they want to learn more about becoming friends with Google, or about you and your services, where do they need to go, and how can people reach out to you if they want to?
Okay, onlinemarketingdoneforyou.com, where the 4 is a digit, and you can schedule a call. you can also go to our, if you're more interested in the lifestyle, go to parentingpassportsandprofits.com and reach out to us there via any of the social links. I am on LinkedIn as Colin J. Clapp, and I'm more than happy to connect with anyone there. So.
All right, Colin, thank you again. Thank you so much. And I actually feel that in the future, I will probably want to call you back to talk about your other website. You know,
feel free to do so.
Absolutely. Colin, thank you so much. Have a great day and speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.